My brother betrayed me by manipulating our mom to change her will, leaving me with almost nothing. I fought back smartly, uncovering his lies and restoring fairness, turning the tables to protect what's rightfully mine. My name is Layla, and I'm 28 years old. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to sit down and spill my guts like this, but here I am, trying to make sense of everything that's happened in my family over the past few months. It's been a mess, a real, ugly mess, and I'm still figuring out if I handled it the right way. I guess I'll start from the beginning so you can see how it all unfolded. I grew up in a pretty normal family, or at least that's what I thought for most of my life. There's my mom, my dad, me, and my younger brother, Luke. Luke's 25 now, 3 years younger than me, and we've always had this weird dynamic. When we were kids, he was the charming one, always cracking jokes, making people laugh, and somehow getting away with stuff I'd get grounded for. I was the responsible one, the one who helped mom with dinner or made sure the bills got paid when dad was too tired from work. Luke? He'd just flash that grin of his and skate by. It didn't bother me much back then. I figured that's just how siblings are, different, but still family. Mom's always been the heart of our family. She's 62 now, soft-spoken, and the kind of person who'd give you her last dollar if you needed it. Dad passed away 5 years ago from a heart attack, and it hit her hard. Since then, she's leaned on us more, especially emotionally. I've tried to be there for her, calling her every few days, stopping by her house to check in. Luke, though, he's always been more distant. He'd show up for holidays or when he needed something, but otherwise, he was off doing his own thing. That's where the trouble started. About a year ago, Mom got sick. It wasn't anything life-threatening at first, just some breathing problems that turned out to be early-stage lung disease. The doctors said she'd be fine with treatment, but it shook her up. She started talking about getting her affairs in order, which I thought was just her being dramatic. I mean, she's only 62, not 90. But then she brought up the will. See, Mom and Dad worked hard their whole lives. They owned a small house in the suburbs, paid off years ago, and had some savings. Nothing crazy, maybe a couple $100,000. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to mean something. Mom always said she'd split everything evenly between me and Luke. That's how it had been in the will they made after Dad died. I didn't think much of it because, honestly, I didn't want to think about losing her too. But Luke? He saw an opportunity. It started small. He'd drop by Mom's house more often, which I thought was nice at first. He'd bring her flowers or take her out for coffee, stuff he hadn't done in years. I'd hear about it from Mom over the phone, and she'd sound so happy. Luke's really stepping up, she'd say. I'd smile and agree, thinking maybe he was finally growing up. But then things got weird. One day, I was at Mom's place helping her sort through some old boxes in the garage when she mentioned Luke had been asking about the will. He says he's worried about me, she told me, her voice all soft and trusting. He thinks we should update it, just in case. I didn't think much of it at the time. I mean, sure, it made sense to double-check things. But something about the way she said it stuck with me. Why was Luke so worried about the will all of a sudden? A few weeks later, I got a call from our cousin Lily. She's 23, close to both me and Luke, and she's always been the one to spill the tea when something's up. Layla, she said, her voice low like she didn't want anyone to overhear. Did you know Luke's been telling Mom you don't need the inheritance? I froze. What? I asked. She went on, explaining how Luke had been dropping little comments to Mom, like how I'm doing fine with my job as a nurse, how I've got my life together, while he's struggling and could really use the help. I couldn't believe it. Struggling? Luke works as a bartender and lives with 2 roommates because he spends half his paycheck on video games and going out. I'm not rich. I've got rent, student loans, and a car that's one bad day away from breaking down. How was I the one who didn't need anything? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I called Luke myself. Hey, I said, keeping my tone casual. Mom mentioned you've been talking about the will. What's going on? He laughed it off, that same old Luke laugh. Oh, just making sure she's okay. She's getting older, Layla. Don't you think we should be prepared? It sounded reasonable, but there was this edge to his voice, like he was hiding something. I let it go, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he was up to no good. Things escalated fast after that. Mom's health took a turn. Not terrible, but bad enough that she needed more help around the house. I started staying over on weekends, cooking for her, driving her to appointments. Luke would show up too, but he'd spend most of his time chatting her up, telling her how much he loved her, how he'd always be there for her. It was sweet, sure, but it felt off, like he was putting on a show. Then came the bombshell. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was at Mom's place making soup when she sat me down at the kitchen table. Her hands were shaky, and she wouldn't look me in the eye. "Layla," she said, "I've been thinking about the will. I made some changes." My stomach dropped. "What kind of changes?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She hesitated, then said, "Luke's been so good to me lately. I think he needs the house more than you do. I'm leaving it to him, and the savings will still be split between you two." I just sat there, stunned. The house was worth at least $300,000, way more than the savings. This wasn't a small tweak. This was Luke getting the lion's share while I got scraps. "Mom," I said, "are you sure about this? I mean, I've been here too. I'm not saying I deserve more, but—" She cut me off, her voice firm. "It's my decision, Layla. Luke needs it. You're strong. You'll be fine." I didn't know what to say. I wanted to scream, to ask her why she thought Luke needed it when he'd barely lifted a finger for her until she got sick. But I didn't. I just nodded, grabbed my purse, and left. I cried the whole drive home, not because of the money, but because it felt like Mom didn't see me anymore. Like all the years I'd spent being there for her didn't matter. That night, I called Lily again. "He did it," I told her. "He got her to change the will." Lily sighed. "I knew it. He's been buttering her up for months. What are you going to do?" I didn't have an answer. Part of me wanted to confront Luke, but I knew he'd just deny it or twist it around on me. Another part of me wanted to talk to Mom, but she'd already made up her mind. I felt stuck. The next few weeks were rough. I kept helping Mom, but every time I saw her, I couldn't stop thinking about the will. It wasn't just the money, it was the betrayal. Luke had manipulated her, played on her emotions when she was vulnerable, and I was the one paying the price. Then another problem hit. Mom's medical bills started piling up. Insurance covered most of it, but there were still co-pays and meds that added up fast. I offered to chip in, dipping into my savings, while Luke conveniently forgot to contribute. "I'm tight this month," he'd say, shrugging like it was no big deal. Meanwhile, I was stretching my budget to the breaking point. It wasn't just the will anymore. There were all these little issues piling on top of each other. Luke started acting like he already owned the house, dropping hints about fixing it up after Mom was gone. Mom's friends, people I'd known my whole life, started giving me weird looks, like they'd heard some version of the story where I was the bad guy. I found out later Luke had been telling them I was pressuring Mom about money, which was a total lie. It was like he was building this narrative where he was the golden child and I was the selfish one. I hit my breaking point one night when I overheard Luke on the phone at Mom's place. I'd stopped by to drop off some groceries, and he didn't know I was there. "Yeah," he was saying, "it's all set. Once she's gone, I'll sell the place and figure it out from there." Sell the place? Mom wasn't even gone yet, and he was already planning his payout. I stormed into the room, and he jumped, dropping his phone. "What the hell, Luke?" I yelled. "You're talking about selling Mom's house like it's a done deal?" He tried to play it cool. "You're overreacting, Layla. I was just thinking out loud." That was it. I was done playing nice. I knew I couldn't let him get away with this, not just for my sake, but for Mom's. She deserved better than being used like some pawn in his game. So I got smart. I started digging. First, I talked to Mom's lawyer, Nathan. He's an old family friend, 40-something, and straight as an arrow. I didn't tell him everything, just asked if he could check on the will, make sure it was legit. He agreed, and a few days later, he called me back. "Layla," he said, "it's all legal, but it's rushed. She signed it 2 weeks ago, and Luke was with her when she did it. Does that sound right?" I thanked him and hung up, my mind racing. 2 weeks ago was right after Mom's last hospital scare, when she was scared and fragile. Luke had swooped in at the perfect moment. Next, I went to Mom. I didn't accuse Luke outright. I knew that'd backfire. Instead, I sat her down with a cup of tea and said, "Mom, I'm worried about you. You've been stressed, and I just want to make sure you're okay with everything. The will, the house, all of it. Did anyone push you into this?" She looked surprised, then thoughtful. "Luke said it'd be best," she admitted. "He kept talking about how he needs a fresh start, how the house could help him get on his feet." I nodded, keeping my cool. "And what do you want, Mom? Forget us. What do you think is fair?" She didn't answer right away, but I could see the wheels turning. Over the next few days, I kept at it. Gently, carefully. I'd bring up old memories, like how Dad always said family should stick together, how he'd hate to see us fighting over stuff. I didn't bash Luke. I just planted seeds. Meanwhile, I asked Lily to keep an eye on him, and she reported back that he was getting cocky, bragging to his buddies about scoring big soon. Then came the breakthrough. Mom called me one morning, her voice shaky but firm. "Layla," I talked to Nathan. "I'm changing the will back. I don't know what I was thinking. Luke's been so sweet, but you're right. It's not fair." I almost cried with relief. "Are you sure?" I asked. She nodded over the phone. I could hear it in her tone. "It's going back to 50-50. And I'm putting the house in a trust so neither of you can sell it right away. I want you both to have something solid." Luke flipped out when he found out. He called me, yelling about how I'd turned Mom against him. I didn't argue. I just said, "She made her choice, Luke. Maybe you should have thought about what's fair instead of what's easy." He hung up, and we haven't talked since. Mom's doing better now, still sick, but stable. I'm still helping with her bills, but I've got some breathing room since the trust covers the house. Luke's backed off, licking his wounds, and I've got peace of mind knowing Mom saw through his game. It's not perfect. There's still tension, and I miss the days when Luke and I could just be siblings without all this baggage. But I'm grateful. I fought for what was right, and I didn't lose myself in the process. Looking back, I wonder if I could have handled it differently. Maybe confronted Luke sooner or pushed Mom harder from the start. But I did what I could with what I had, and I'm in a better place than I was when this all blew up. So what do you think? Was there a smarter way to deal with this? Should I reach out to Luke, or just let it be? I'd love to hear your take. Maybe it'll help me figure out what's next.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.